Welcome to Harmony Talk, a podcast of conversations with dreamers and doers from every walk of life, from science and art to industry and social impact. This podcast is brought to you by AM Skyer, a third-generation family insurance business started in 1920. I'm your host, Lisa Champeau. Our guest today is Lisa Boo, PhD. Lisa is the first TED Talks staffer to be invited to speak on the main stage at the TED conference. And as many of you may know, TED, short for Technology, Entertainment, and Design, is a series of public presentations by people with ideas to share or, quote, ideas worth spreading, as the TED message goes. Lisa, born in Hunan Province, China, came to the U.S. in 1995 to attend the University of Wisconsin at Madison. She went on to work for many years in Wisconsin Public Radio and then as a content distribution manager and member of the global business development team at TED. Lisa is also a computer programmer with a PhD in journalism, an MBA in information systems, and a BA in Chinese from Nanjing University in China. In short, she brings a lot to talk about to any stage. And her speech about her love of reading, quote, brought down the house at a TED employees conference and led to her many invitations to speak publicly about many topics, but particularly about how books, quote, saved her from becoming cynical about life. Lisa, I've seen your videos. You're warm, you're funny, you're well-educated. Of course, we wanted you on our podcast. So welcome, Lisa, to Harmony Talk. You join us from your home in New Jersey. Let's really begin at the beginning. You had a few dreams in life, beginning with becoming a gymnast and then aspiring to be an opera singer, neither of which came true. So how did you start shaping the path you eventually followed to be where you are today? I know that's a big question. We can start small if you wish.
Thank you for having me today. So the gymnast really was, I'm not sure whose dream that is. I just had fun playing. And then the last year at kindergarten, the provincial team got me into this winter training camp. There, I really witnessed how real athletes trained. I was scared. It was painful. It was really hard. You have to get up like 5 o'clock and the long distance running, and then they stretch your leg. It was like a torture.
Oh my gosh. So maybe you were happy that your parents turned you away from that.
Yeah, partly I was relieved. But my real first consciousness dream was when I was 10, 11. I went to see this movie. This is a Chinese opera movie about a beautiful fairy tale. Once I got out of the movie theater, I felt I was transformed into a different person. A person now with a mission in life. A person who I thought I knew what I was born to do.
To be an opera singer?
Yes. I feel like, because that actress, unfortunately, she committed suicide during the Cultural Revolution 2 years before I was born. So I couldn't understand that affinity with her, that connection with her. In a way, I felt like maybe that's what they called reincarnation. Maybe I was reincarnated.
Oh.
As a kid.
Such fantasies.
Yeah. So you really feel like, okay, now this is my second chance.
Right. I'm meant to be here.
Yeah.
To do this. Could you sing, by the way? Were you a good singer?
I was pretty good. That's why I'm still part of the choir. I love singing. I love opera. You felt so sure of what you are born to do. So you're obsessed with that dream. But of course, really only the very lucky ones, really hardworking ones can get that kind of a dream to come true. I was not in that environment to be nurtured, to be given an opportunity to even try this dream. So when I was 16, I knew I was too old to be trained because Chinese opera singer, they were trained like an athlete, like a gymnast. You have to be trained since you were little, like 5, 6. Once you are a teenager, you are too late.
You're too old. It's terrible, isn't it? You're too old.
Yeah, at 16, you realize it's too old. But the thing is, I feel like if you have to experience failure in life, better experience early because you're still young enough to have a second chance. The time is on your side. So in that sense, I feel like it's a good life lesson. I cannot wait for destiny to gift me an opportunity. I cannot wait for for my environment, for society to give me an opportunity. If I want something, I have to work hard, get it myself. So it's a good lesson.
It certainly is a good lesson. So your parents sort of deterred you from that, and rightly so, I guess, because you were just too darn old at 16.
Also, My parents know, everyone knows, even myself. We know being artists, you probably have to starve.
Yeah, it's not exactly a livelihood that's guaranteed, for sure.
Yeah. And back then, most people were very poor. Parents are so concerned about welfare of their children. They want their children to have a good job, to have a comfortable life. I can totally understand. Rationally, what I feel upset is I was not even given a chance to try. So that's what upsets me. That's what I feel like I need to grab the opportunity myself. So I spent the next really 10, 20 years trying to figure out what will be the next dream? Like, what else can I do? What else am I good at? So that's the whole phase of exploration of myself.
One of the things that you did do is you started learning English. I understand there's a story that you started learning English from the BBC, and you heard a report about Tiananmen Square from the BBC. It just did not jive or align with what you were hearing in China. So, what were your thoughts then about leaving China or about the United States or Great Britain for that matter? In other words, the West.
So English was required subject in middle school and college in China. So I started learning English when I was 12. At that time, CCTV, the government TV station, they have a English program produced by BBC called Follow Me. I just love how they teach English because they use comedians in those segments. I also got a shortwave radio to listen to BBC World Service. Shortwave radio, well, listening to BBC or Voice America was banned in China. They use technology to scram the signal. So you get really like zzz, all kinds of
Static.
noisy, static. But I still listen to it because I want to listen to native speakers. In 1989, so I was a freshman in Nanjing University. That was the time when there was the Tiananmen Square crackdown on student protest. I was not in it because I was not even in Beijing, but in Nanjing, we also had protests locally. I just remember in June that evening, our professor was knocking on our door. So go home, go home. I said, what's going on? So we all packed, go home because we haven't finished the final exams yet. So everyone went home. So I had to take ship on the Yangtze River to go home. On the Yangtze River that morning, I just remember so vividly because it's wide river, there was very little static on my shortwave radio. The signal was so clear, but the news was so chilling. That's when I found out what happened. I was just shaken up. So when I got home, I was telling my brother, do you know what happened? Da, 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 da. And he said, oh, those students, they are the bad guys. The soldiers were the good guys. So I was really shocked. I said, how could you?
How do you distinguish between what's true and what's not? In other words, and that famous picture of the lone student in front of the tanks, did you ever see that picture?
I didn't see it because it's only radio. And of course, all the videos we couldn't see and the government TV won't have that kind of image. So my brother was reading newspapers, getting radio, getting news from the government sources. I was getting it from the BBC. So that was like a revelation for me. My brother and I, we were from the same background. But just because we got information from different sources, we have a totally different worldview. So that's the first time I realized how powerful media is. And fast forward, I carry that kind of idea in my head when I was in Shenzhen, my first job after college. Shenzhen is the neighboring city from Hong Kong. So we can get all kinds of
Media.
radio, TV from Hong Kong, without any disruption.
All that propaganda.
Yeah. More and more, you just realize BBC is not only good for learning English, but it has opened a door to the world to me. I realize I would love to do some work in public media like BBC so I can play a role to make people really understand what's going on in the world and what they could do with their lives. So that's the moment when I decided my next dream I'm going to pursue in public media. That's when I started preparation for TOEFL, for GRE, applying to school. And then I'm very lucky I got in.
Your parents were okay with it, that particular career path in another country also?
At that time, they were okay because going abroad for ordinary Chinese was like, wow, that's like unheard of opportunity. They know it's a good thing for me. And I think by then, I've always been a very good student. I'm very good at taking exams. So my parents have confidence in my chance of succeeding in academic world in US.
Why did you choose to go to the US and Madison in particular, as opposed to, say, Great Britain?
At that time, I think the US just seems to be, I was reading all about, the Pulitzer Prize, the highest prize in journalism. That's in US, Columbia University. You just read so much. And also I was getting this very thick book, Peterson's Guide to US Colleges from the library. And I was looking at, okay, schools East Coast or school West Coast or in the middle. East Coast, West Coast, I know there are a lot of Chinese immigrants there. I was afraid if I went to either coast, I would be scared. Therefore, I would isolate myself in the Chinese community. I say, let's just create an environment, force me to go out to interact with local people, American people, other international students. So I picked the Midwest. Also, it's more affordable. So very practical reason. So I applied to quite a few schools and I got accepted by 3. UW-Madison is the best among the 3. The other 2 are Montana and then Nebraska. So I just choose Madison.
And it probably was a wise choice at the time. Now, you tell great stories about coming to America and being Chinese in America and showing up, for example, with, what was it, $10,000 in cash? So what was it like when you first arrived, being Chinese in the Midwest?
It's both very overwhelmed, but also very excited. Overwhelmed because there's so many things I have no clue. Like I didn't know what a check, personal check looks like. Because in China back then, nobody used check. I don't even know how to fill it out. I have to ask the clerk, like, how do I fill out the check? And she said, you just do this and then you sign. I said, I sign without some kind of official seal stamp. They said, no, we trust you. I said, what? So it was the first time I realized my signature means something. I don't need a government or employer or university like a seal to prove who you are or to approve what you can do. I can just sign to turn a piece of paper into money. It's just so empowering. So that's one thing I didn't know what a check is like. The second thing, this is my second day in US. So I said, okay, because I'm in journalism school, I need to start reading newspapers. Wisconsin State Journal, the biggest local newspaper, a full page of obituary. I was really startled. Why? Because in China, only high officials and celebrities, they got obituary in newspaper. So naturally, I thought, oh my gosh, what's going on in Wisconsin?
So many famous people.
So many famous people died on the same, just one day. What's going on? So when I started reading it, I was just startled. Like, they are all ordinary people. They are not celebrities, not officials, and not high executives. I was so moved because it's just simple sign. Like, even a commercial newspaper will feel the need to honor, to acknowledge the value of an ordinary life publicly in a newspaper. That was deeply moving for me.
Well, you certainly did embrace the individuality of the American society. So, I mean, I don't know how that aligned with your parents' views back home, but at some point in time, you decided to become a citizen. Is that correct?
Yes. The reason I want to be a citizen is because I want to be able to vote. Green card holders, yeah, you enjoy all the benefits, but you cannot vote. You cannot serve on jury. I want to do both of those things. So after becoming a citizen, of course, I make sure I will vote every single election, no matter it's local or it's national. I just so treasure that privilege.
I think one of your speeches was about that privilege, and I think one of your quotes, which I loved, was, what one does may not change the outcome of an event, but it's never in vain. To participate is to say yes to life. to join the force of life. I feel really honored to be given the opportunity to tell my story, and I hope it has inspired some people to vote, which is wonderful. And I'm going to assume then you've pretty much voted in every election since.
Yes, every single one. I do understand why some people don't vote. It is hard work if you want to make an informed decision, especially local elections. I Google everyone, but oftentimes their candidates, like there's not much information about them. It's really hard to find background information to fact check, to understand what their standing is on issues. So I can understand it's work to be a good citizen, to be an informed citizen. That's why since day one, I become citizen. My dear friend, she's a German immigrant. She's my host mother in Wisconsin. She gave me a gift membership of League of Women Voters. So since day one, I've been a member of that wonderful league, and I'm still a member here in New Jersey branch. So they put out a lot of helpful information to help citizens decide. They're nonpartisan, by the way. That's what I like. I always joke, like, I don't want to join any party unless it's a dinner party.
No. Well, you sound kind of like a model citizen, to be perfectly honest. Maybe a better citizen than some people born here. So you worked for a while in public radio in Wisconsin, and then how did you come to work at TED? How'd that happen?
Wisconsin Public Radio gave me a chance to talk to so many guests, so many people, because it's a live daily talk show. So my job was to find guests for the show. Over time, I found, hey, TED.com is a wonderful platform for me to audition guests. So I found so many great guests from that platform. Eventually, I even booked Chris Anderson, who owns the TED. I was just so inspired by that platform. They are nonprofit. They put out wonderful content. It's another great outlet as a public media. So when my talk show host, she decided to retire and I finished my PhD, I was starting to feel restless in Wisconsin. I said, what's next? What's next? So I said, maybe I'll just try TED. And to my delight, after 5 rounds of interviews, I got the job. I was so happy. Another reason is public radio, as wonderful as it is, the hands are tied there because how it's created, how the structure is designed, there are a lot of bureaucracy. And for TED, because it's a private owned foundation, it doesn't have that kind of bureaucracy. So I always say TED has the best of 2 worlds, the idea-driven mission of the nonprofit world, but this entrepreneurial spirit of the startup world. So I was just very happy to land at that job.
What exactly did you do there? Did you find guests there too? Was that your job as well?
Not actually. I started TED basically doing a lot of technical work because my journalism background plus the technical skills. So I was in charge of operation, delivery TED content. Those could be video, subtitles, artwork, metadata. I have to package in a very technical, specified way to our partners around the world. So it's very technical, very operational. It uses my strength, my technical skills, my obsession with efficiency. So it worked out well. And later on, I say, well, we need to do podcasts because I come from the radio world. It's very natural. Let's do podcasts. So we started with the English podcast. And later on, I pitched for a Chinese language podcast. And so for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been the executive producer and host of the TED in Chinese podcast.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. When you were first kind of discovered by your fellow staffers, I think one of them described you as sort of the quiet content distribution manager. It almost sounded like you were tucked away in a corner. And then when you were given this stage, everybody lights went on and said, oh my goodness, how did you go from where you were to the stage?
I think when you are doing something you are really passionate about and you really care about, you forget about fear. The desire to connect with others, the desire to share your passion, your idea will overcome that fear, that hesitation. And also you get the feedback from people. I just remember on that stage, it was really intimidating. So I was doing the mantra to myself, just pretend you're hosting a dinner. Those people there are just here want to hear a good story from you. So that's what I was telling my brain, fooling my brain to do. And it worked.
But you also talked, I believe, about something you are very passionate about, which is books and reading. Let's talk a little bit about reading. I mean, I'm assuming you're still reading, of course, but what kinds of books informed you and your spirit for life?
I like all kinds of books, so both fiction and the nonfiction. What helped me most are biography books, memoirs, autobiography, biographies. For me, because my parents, their circumstances, their educational level, or my environment, the university, the China as a whole, I feel like I couldn't find good mentors, good teachers easily in a live person, but I can always find books.
So who are some of the mentors, your nonfiction mentors, the memoirs and the biographies you read?
The most influential person, a Chinese person, is this famous poet in the Song Dynasty in China. That's about 12th century, Su Shi. He's like a household name in China. He had a very turbulent life. He's smart. He rose to high official, but then he got into trouble in political fight. He almost died. He was exiled for decades. But he always kept this zest for life. He never let those agony in life to put him down, to make him a cynical person. He always upbeat. So I learned a lot from him. Another person biography I love is what I came to US is the personal history by Katharine Graham, the owner of Washington Post. She grew up as people call her like a poor rich girl because she was from a wealthy family, but then tragedy hit. Her father passed away, her husband committed suicide. As a tender age female, she had to take over Washington Post in a very like a man in charge world, but she did great. And she also got a lot of help from her mentor, Warren Buffett. Believe it or not, because Warren Buffett was on her board. She learned so much from Warren Buffett. And I was reading Warren Buffett's biography and Catherine Graham in a pair.
Same time. He's still with us, but yeah.
Yeah. So you just see how those people overcome the obstacles in life, how they find strengths, how they find ways to overcome. They become really not only mentor role models, they're like confirmation for me, like don't give up. No matter what happened, there's hope. You just need to find a way to get out any difficult situations. There's always a way. Just don't give up.
Why did you leave TED?
I've been following a movement called FIRE. I don't know if you've heard of it. FIRE, Financial Independence, Retire Early.
Oh, you learned a lot from Warren Buffett.
Yes. So I feel like I've been saving like crazy following the movement. Finally, I've arrived at a financial situation. I feel like now I can totally control my schedule. I want to devote more time, more energy to my personal passion projects, which is writing. Maybe I get a chance to connect back to my childhood obsession with Chinese opera.
Yes, tell us about that. You are reconnecting, as I understand it. Are you writing a book about an opera singer? Is that what you're doing? Or
I'm writing a libretto.
A libretto? Oh, my goodness. Okay.
So going back to my childhood idol, this famous Yan Fengying, this famous Chinese opera singer who killed herself during the Cultural Revolution, only recent years, I realized she spent 2 years in Nanjing, where I went to college. And I went to visit that place where she stayed, and I learned the story, what happened to her during those 2 years. Suddenly, a story started to brewing in my head. So I really want to make that into...
It's about her.
It's inspired by her, not a straight biography story. So it's inspired by her story, but it will be totally fictional. So I said, I really want to write this to get the story out of me. That urge becomes stronger during the pandemic. Because when pandemic first hit, everyone was very scared. I was thinking, oh my gosh, what if this virus got me and I never got this story out of me? I didn't want to carry this regret into my tomb. So I said, I'm going to start writing it no matter what. I'm going to allow myself to write a lousy libretto. I just want to get it out of me. So that's how I start writing. Of course, I need serious revision. I finished the first draft. I found my college professor helped me give me really good notes. I need to do a serious revision, but I didn't have time to do it. So now fire has landed me in a financial situation that I can devote more time to it.
So what do you see happening with this libretto? Is somebody you know, an opera singer that you perhaps know today is going to sing it? I mean, do you have visions of it actually being performed?
The libretto probably going to be very hard to be produced inside mainland China because the sensitivity of the Cultural Revolution. But I was hoping maybe I'll find a musician you can put into a musical, or I go to Taiwan, maybe find a Chinese opera companies, maybe they want to produce it. I'll give it in the hands of the universe. Right now, I'll do my part. What happened next? I'll leave it to the hands of the universe.
I'm going to read another quote of yours that I absolutely love, and it has to do with this, with dreams coming true. It says, I have come to believe that coming true is not the only purpose of a dream. Its most important purpose is to get us in touch with where dreams come from. The passion and even shattered dreams can do that. That speaks to so many people in so many ways. You're back to sort of your original dream in a way, and you're making it come true. And you're not looking back. You're not saying, okay, I didn't become an opera star. So what kind of advice do you have for people whose dreams have been kind of curtailed or deterred, or besides fire, I mean?
Yeah, I would say I have come to realize coming true of a dream or that kind of happiness, of that kind of fulfillment associated with those feelings are fleeting. What's most important, the process of pursuing a dream, even the process experiencing the heartbreaking, like your dream shattered, it makes you feel you're alive. That aliveness, it's what we are here to experience as a human on earth. That's why I say that feeling is prevent you from becoming cynical, I'm just going to give up and do nothing. Nowadays, when I see younger people who I mentor, sometimes they're heartbroken, they feel very disappointed. I say, just fact, you're feeling that pain means you're alive. That means there's still juice inside you. You need to dig, get it out and make something out of it.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm just curious now, have you been back to China itself? I mean, I know you mentioned your professor and so on in Nanjing, but how do you view China today?
I haven't been back since 2019. Today, China is such a big and complicated country. I love the people there. I love the culture there. I don't love the political system there. I just feel there's so much potential, so much energy, but it hasn't given a good chance, a good environment, a good political system to unleash that energy, that creativity. That makes me sad. So I'm optimistic about the energy, about people's creativity, but I don't have high hope to see significant change within my lifetime.
Your family's still there, I take it? Your brother, your parents?
My brother passed away many years
Oh,
ago.
sorry.
Yeah, my other family members are still there. They're doing okay now. The thing is, if you are someone who want to pursue creativity, want to say something, want to have free expression, it's hard to do things there.
Well, it certainly sounds like you're able to do things here, and you've, as I said earlier, embraced the United States. How would you describe your life here very quickly, just sort of summing it up, here in America? Has it proven to be all that you started out wanting it to be?
For me, fortunately, I feel I'm lucky because this society, they rewards people who can do tests well, who who can do technology well. I was fortunate to come to this country at the beginning of that dot-com boom. And I was lucky I can do technical work well. I'm lucky I can do personal finance. I can ride this wave. But I think with the AI, with huge shift in labor market, in job prospects, I don't know what's going to happen to younger generation. I'm really concerned. People have to rethink how to survive, how to thrive in the next 20 years.
Hopefully they can find what you call the juice, the passion, and bring it forward and survive, even thrive, hopefully. And good luck with your libretto. It's really, really been a pleasure talking with you, Lisa Boo, and I appreciate your taking the time to talk with us. So thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
This podcast has been brought to you by AM Sky, our third-generation family insurance business started in 1920. I'm Lisa Champeau. Talk to you next time and keep dreaming.